My name's Terry Lynch. I'm with Oregon Ufology. I found myself searching for a passageway one day. And that passageway leads right across the complete section of the Cascades, which I'm sitting in front of at the moment. On top of Dwyne. I want to make sure that everybody sees the type of things that we find in the process of research for ufology. I have located a couple that's sitting here on the top of Dwyne Peak. She's facing south. He's facing north.
The Middle, Cascadia Guides, alleged production, in conjunction with Alien Strand Films.
Alien Strand Podcast.
No, I felt scared because I've never seen such a person like that before.
Did you see the eyes? What did they look like?
They were going like that.
Where was the pointy part? Was the pointy part in here, or was the pointy part out there? Up there. And what was the feeling when you looked at the eyes?
It was scary.
And what was scary? Why? What made it scary?
The eyes looked evil.
Here's the Zetas. We have a number of craft. Our motherships are monstrous and are hover overhead where you cannot view them because we bend light rays around them so you think you're seeing the cloud on the other side of the mothership, or we hide within clouds. We have a series of smaller craft. Some are operational to carry perhaps 30 of ourselves or humans. These are the type of craft where if we are picking people up to meet, and we do act as a coordinator among contactees.
Our space probes today are on Mars. They surround Mars. A small robot with the name of Curiosity is rolling over Mars. And again, we receive pictures from the surface of the Mars. And some of these pictures clearly show structures which are not normal.
Alien Strand Podcast.
Welcome to this episode of Alien Strand Podcast. I'm your host, Don Ledesma, and welcome to today. Yeah, we made it. Yeah, right. Okay, so we've been waiting on this podcast because our last podcast glitched, right? So we're going to go ahead and do it again with Mr. Dwayne Belcher here. I'm going to talk about, we're going to get him on here shortly. I'm glad that you guys are watching today's podcast. We have a lot of information, man, a lot of information to squeeze in 1 hour. And if we go over just a little bit, it's okay. It's okay. You know, that's what Alien Strand is about. You know, we're on 27, 28 platforms. Catch us on YouTube, X. We're all over the place, man. We're on Facebook Live on 8 platforms there as well. You can catch us on Rumble, right? And you catch us, let's see, where else? We're on Twitch. We're on Twitch as well, live right now. So, hey, welcome, guys. And if you're new to ufology, well, welcome to ufology. Today, we're going to talk, yes, about UFOs a little bit. We're going to put it all together. Today, we're going to talk about the Book of the Gods, right? Because we want to make sure that, a lot of folks out there understand what has happened in the past, because we have to bring up history a little bit. Every once in a while, we have to talk about our history, and we have to dive way back. Now, full disclosure here, this show is not, we're not trying to make you believe in any kind of religion, anything like that. That's all up to you, man. All right. So we're just going to throw out the information to you guys. And, we're not talking about religion and politics here or anything like that. We're just talking about everything in general, science, education, history. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. Don't forget, if you can, catch us on Alien Strand Extras. Make sure you go there. There is a free one there, so you can go there and just download the Patreon app. It's free, man. And if you want to be a paid member, guess what? You're going to get perks, man. You're going to get stickers. You're going to get shirts. I got a lot of good things coming to paid members that are going to be coming in. And I have got new members already. So thank you guys. I really appreciate you guys for being a part of that. I have the extra story on RH Negative is going to be coming out. So get ready for that one on Alien Strand Extras. You can only hear it there, okay? Tonight's podcast, all right, past tablets of the gods. That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the Anunnaki. We're going to talk about Enoch. We're going to talk about Atlantis. We're going to talk about just everything in general that kind of puts all these stories together, right? Because we want to make sure that you guys kind of get a grasp of the past and how it coincides with what is happening now as far as what's happening in our skies, right? That's what it's about. If you haven't seen our movie, The Middle, go check it out, right? Still on Amazon Prime. Right on, baby, because that's what we want. We want it on Amazon Prime. $2.99. You can't beat that with a stick. It's a great learning tool. Plus, the great discovery Mr. Terry Lynch did out there on the Cascadia Guides of the geoglyphs up there on top of that 8,000-foot mountain, on side of the mountain. Actually, Google let him name that. All right. So he actually got to put his name on that, and you'll see our pictures up there smiling. Yay. We're like this in the picture. So you'll get to see that on there. Don't forget, catch our movie. If you don't have to pay for it tonight, you can watch it free on Tubi TV and TCL channel. That comes with commercials. Come on. It's a give and take. Amazon, $2.99. That's what, a Coca-Cola now? Remember when a Coke is 99 cents, 50 cents? What are we talking about? $2.99, $3 for a bottle of Coke. Come on, bring it down. We got to get this, going better, right? So don't forget The Middle 2. Oh my God, I worked on it today. I got 3 more minutes in. I am close to the ending stretch, man. It is looking so good. It gives me chills, man, when I play it back and back, because you guys are going to learn a lot from this film. A lot from this film, of all the stories that these folks are gonna bring out on camera, so you guys can understand exactly what they're going through as far as the CE3 and actual visuals. Okay, so make sure to don't forget, follow us. Alien Strand Disclosure Project. We are a team. There is no I in team. It's all of us. We all work together as a big team to try to find out disclosure, as we're doing tonight with Mr. Belcher, right? So we're going to try to get all the information out as much as possible for you guys to get, okay? Thank you guys for just watching today and just listening to my little commercials, man, because, I have to put this information out because I get excited and I want you guys to know, what are we doing as far as the new topics, okay? Oh, one thing before I forget, I have a new guest coming on next week. Her name is Nancy Thames, all right? She used to work for the Department of Defense, but she's now in disclosure and she's now in all this. So she's going to be part of our show, and she's going to start giving us some information on what she knows, right? As far as the disclosure, that's what it is, UFOs, everything like that. And she's going to tell us a lot of information of what she knows. So get ready for that show next week. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get on Mr. Dwayne Belcher right now, so we can start talking about these topics. We got a lot to cover. I hope you guys stick around and chime in, give us some questions too, and I'll try to throw them out there on screen while we're talking. All right. So without further ado, here we go, Mr. Dwayne Belcher.
Thanks for having me, Donald. I'm glad to be back.
Yes, sir. I'm glad that we're doing this again, man, because, oh my God, that echo I was so disappointed with that, but it's not happening today. So thank you for coming back to the show and just kind of being a part of this disclosure that we're going to kind of talk about. It's disclosure, yes, but it's a lot of historical events, and we get to actually touch base on Atlantis as well. So the people that didn't see you last week, can you tell them a little bit about yourself?
Yes, sir. My name is Dwayne Belcher. I'm from around the Nashville area in Tennessee. Right now, I'm in the Great Smoky Mountains, doing a little work and a little vacation at the same time, trying to enjoy myself while out doing that work, putting that work in.
Right on. So, and you, what are you doing this year? Company? What you doing out there?
Yes, sir. I have a company called D Merton LLC. I sell apparel that I have trademarks on, and this is the logo for that apparel. It has a man sitting in the meditation position with all the colors of the chakra, and it says, "Open your mind, we are one."
Wow, awesome! Open your mind, we are one. I like that. Yes, that's a great looking shirt, man, and a hat too. I like that.
Yes, sir.
So, what got you into this realm that you're in right now, on trying to figure out about the past and history and things like that?
Well, I've always enjoyed history and science and the stars and astrology and everything, and it's all brought it all together. You know, bringing all that together is part of our history. And I was always told as a young child that, you know, history repeats itself. So if you know history, you basically know the future.
Right. Well, yeah, that does make sense. I mean, because you have to really learn your history, and of the things that have happened in the past. That's what we're going to talk about today. So let's talk about a little bit about, let's go back to the beginning, the very beginning. So we're going to talk about how our past cultures in the past have put it all together with their tablets and their books about the beginning of humanity, right? So let's go ahead and let's talk about the Sumerians and their religion, right? So I'm going to read this out real quick, and then we'll just kind of touch base on it. Okay, so it says the earlier known usages of the Anunnaki came from inscriptions during the reign of Judea. So on the third dynasty, this was between 2144 and 2124 BC, all right? So the dynasty of Ur, right? In its earliest text. This is the term is applied to most powerful, important deities in the Sumerian Pantheon. So, and it says the descendants of the sky god An, and the deities into the seven gods of the decree, which is Utu and Inanna, and of course there's Enlil, Enki, and all these gods, right? So, kind of bring us in of what your thoughts are about the Sumerian religion and their tablets.
As far as what I could tell and what I've learned, the Sumerians come from the actual Anunnaki. They were the advanced race of Atlantis, and when all the cataclysms happened back in those days, they all spread out across the world and created new civilizations for the people, and they helped to create man themselves, and using genetic modifications, of course, I mean, right. To use for slaves and to get the minerals and the gold and everything they needed to be able to build and to sustain life and to have wealth, of course, too, on top of it.
Right, and then that's exactly what you're talking about. So they have these tablets that they found. I believe there was 14 of them, and it said tablets number 6 and 7 that it was kind of like the beginning of man. How they started with with when they came from the other planet, Nibiru, and then we're talking about the gold. So what are your thoughts on the gold, and that they mention a lot with Nibiru and just the history of the story of how they got their story together?
From some of the stuff that I've learned, they wanted to mine the gold to help heal their planet and to use for wealth at the same time. Right. Using machinery, spacecraft, like we use it in our phones and TVs and different stuff like that. They right. used it the same way. And without that, it was hard for them to be able to do all that stuff they needed, and to have man to help them to mine that and to forge it and use it in the ways they need and see fit to use it.
Yeah, and they say that on this it reads that they come around every 3,600 years.
Yes.
I guess because that's the time that it takes to go around in that circle, correct? Like in the galaxy, right? For the gold.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, they circle around out of our galaxy and come back in around the sun and the earth and everything. Then they float back out into the outskirts of space and around other planets. There's a lot of people that believe that the 200 fallen were some of those people that come here to mate with the women of men and created the giants. And if that's so, then that could also mean that they are a giant race themselves.
I know these because it says it comes around every 3,600 years, Nibiru, and it was called Timayat, something like that. That's trying to read that common language.
Planet X.
Planet X, and and it says that they came together with its moon and the forms of the Earth settling between Venus and Mars, right? So we're just trying to figure out, how they would get this, just the analogy of the story of these, I guess to them were gods, right? The creators, to do this now, and how they would get this story, right? With the gold, and they actually had it all figured out between our solar system back then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they knew all the advancements of technology and all the stuff that were used in those days. They had those back then, and these days we're just reverse engineering everything and trying to figure out how it works, and then once they figure it out, they put it out there for us to use, first for the military, and then after that, then if it's something that we could use for our purposes, then we could use that also.
Right.
They'll release it to the general public.
And it kind of looks like they had the technology of a spacecraft, right, in order to come around the sun and the planet and all that. And then, the mining of the gold. Apparently, the Anunnaki were huge, right? They were like giants, correct, themselves?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There's a lot of depictions in the pyramids of giants reaching up in the trees and handing fruits down to the smaller human people. There's also pictures of them carrying sticks with elephants hanging from them, and
right.
As well as I do, elephants are really big, so if they're carrying them on their shoulders, then they've got to be quite big themselves.
Right, and most of the depictions of the Anunnaki and also other cultures all the way around the world, they're always carrying this purse at the bottom, which is called the life, right? Which is the what is it? The sacred life.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Some people believe that it could have been used as like a battery. Some people believe it could be an apparatus used for like clean air, to filter the air and clean it so that they can breathe better without ingesting any of the chemicals or anything from the earth, the dust and all that stuff that might make it sick, any germs and things like that.
Yeah, and you see it, and you see this image, not just the image of the man with the wings, but there's also different images, and they're all carrying this same kind of pack in their hand. I know we've all tried to figure it out, and just exactly what it is, and kind of hard to tell, but if that's what it was, well, then it kind of makes sense, right? What it was, but I'm going to read to you what it says here about this actually portrait. So it says, the Anunnaki extract large quantities of gold from the earth. At first, the only Anunnaki worked in the gold mining for a long time. They suffer a lot because of the working conditions and very harsh, and they're very tiresome, right? It says, in the end, they rebel against the heavy working condition and even take the leader Enlil as hostage. That's what it says in their writings, right? Enki saves his brother. And says promising to find workers that will work for them. At the time, there was not such a thing as human in the world yet, right? So it says these are only the humanoid ape-type primates, which are Homo erectus. The Anunnaki could use from them for mining. They couldn't use, in other words, from them because they just couldn't learn. What are your thoughts about that? Just that reading right there.
My thoughts on that is they might have taken like the Neanderthals of the old days and did some genetic modifications with their own blood and their own genes to create a race of smart beings that would be able to work and make them strong, to be able to handle the heat and the cold and to do all the hard labor for them so that they wouldn't have to, so that they could be the gods and the kings of the days.
Right. So, and it kind of brings me back to, how people were used back then as slaves, even after let's fast forward a bunch of time after that, there was a lot of slaves back then, even in the Hebrew Bible or things like that. So, and what happened here was basically the same thing. They were using these people as slaves to mine for them the gold. Now, I've actually heard that a lot of the gold and the mining and the diamonds or wherever, not diamonds, but gold was actually coming from the African sector. So out of Africa.
Yes,
have you ever heard
a lot of the gold? I have heard that. I've heard a lot of the gold came out of that section of the world, and of course they would use it for their technologies and to help, as I said, heal their planet is what a lot of the stories say. The only problem was that the 200 that wanted to stick behind because they made the pact,
Right.
then that caused upheaval in the ranks and stuff, and they were left behind. And while the others went back home to do their bidding that they needed to do there.
Wow. And there's some Facebook users saying it is said that they also created the EGG, and I remember that the overseers of the created humans. So these EGG were the ones that were in charge of the humans, right after they made them. So that's basically what they were talking about there. And then, why do you think why do you think these stories came about the way they did in their tablature? Back then with the Sumerians.
They wanted to leave a history of what happened and how it happened, and just like we do books today, we write books to tell the story of what's going on in our lives at this time. They wished to do the same thing. They wanted to leave a history for man and for the other gods to go off of, to learn from. To be able to sustain life here and to keep everything going, so that when they come back, they could, other than the watchers that hang around to keep an eye on us, they could come back and then they can take back over control of the people.
Right.
And they would know that they're the gods.
Which kind of brings me to the almost like the revelation of the biblical scriptures, revelation for the end of times, and they end up coming back, and there's a rapture and things like that, right? So when they're saying these 365 years or whatever, 3,600 years to return, do you think of it as maybe in that kind of sense? How these two books kind of go together that way?
Yes, sir. That's my belief, that they kind of coincide with each other. It's a history book. It teaches us what happened in those days and how to live,
right,
to their guidelines, basically, and for humanity themselves to have morals and values to look forward to in the future, and to want to be able to go to the heavenly place. Well,
yeah, exactly. It's you got to be. What's that word where you had to be like pure almost, so that way you can get to the other side. So, and let's move a little bit more forward. Let's talk about a little bit about Enoch. So he was the scribe of judgment in the Hebrew Bible. So this is who Enoch was. What do you know a little bit more about Enoch?
It's said that he was one of the only people on the planet that actually walked with God. He was ascended. He never died. There was a lot of stories about him going with God into the heavens and seeing the heavens and the earth from above.
Right.
The whole world, not just one place in the heavens or one place on earth.
Right.
He was taught some of the ways of the gods. It was also said that he couldn't look upon God because he was so bright, and he could barely hear. He could hear God, but he was so loud that he had to basically cover his ears because it was so loud that it kind of hurt his ears.
Right.
And the story was that he was the first one to actually, from our understanding of the past, that he was the first one to meet in person.
Okay. And why do you think he wrote the book the way he did? I think the only reason that he put it in the Bible because they didn't want to scare the hell out of people. Because if you read this book, they're going to scare the hell out of you, pretty much. And it's in his book. Really, in reality, all he's telling you is walk straight, walk a good path, be a good person, and you'll make it to the other side. But if you don't, this will happen to you. This will happen to you. But in different terms, to where it sounds a little dark, to tell you the truth. The way he explains things, because he wanted you to walk with God and just be a good person, bright light. You know what I mean? Don't be this evilness, right? So he didn't want you to be evil, that's pretty much what we got out of Enoch. Now, and that's what you talked about, because it said that in Genesis that when he was entering heaven that he was alive, right?
He ascended, he never died.
Right. He just kind of disappeared, right? Kind of.
Yes, sir. He just ascended to the heavens, and they never seen him again. But they know he never died. They never buried a body of his to show that there was death. And a lot of people believe when he went up with the gods to the heavens, that was his ascension. He stayed with God. He never come back to earth, other than when Noah was warned about. And of course, I'm sure Enoch had a hand in making sure that Noah knew that the tribulation was coming for the floods and stuff, so that he could save his family and build a new after the floods receded.
Wow. Well, I mean, it says here that in the New Testament, Enoch is referenced in the Gospel of Luke, in to the Hebrews, and in the Epistle of Jude, and the last also quotes from there from the Catholic Church and Eastern Orthodox, and Oriental Orthodox too. So everybody talked to him as venerated as a saint. That's what they talked about him in this sense. Now, and my thing is, like, why would they take him out of the Bible if he was this grand of a person?
Well, as you know, King James wrote the Bible, and a lot of people believe that the main reason he wrote the Bible was because he was married and he wished to have another woman, and he had his wife beheaded so he could have that woman. And the priest of the time told him and said that he would be condemned for that. So he cast out all the priests and had scholars write the Bible in the way he seemed fit, so that it would show that he is the ruler of the time, and to listen to him and obey him so that he could hold all the power.
Right. Well, yeah.
So they left him out so that it would keep him from telling the story of the truth, so that the people wouldn't know, and then they would have to follow him.
And we have a user on Facebook who says, I don't think the population at the time could appreciate his works, and he had to dumb it down a little bit. You know what I mean? So back then,
well, he was told by God, and that's why they call him the scribe, because he was told by God what to tell the people and how to explain it to them, so that they could live a good life and make it to ascension to heaven, instead of being condemned to all those terrible things that he mentions.
I mean, he's even in the book of the Quran. It says he's known as a prophet in the book of the Quran. So, I mean, he's everywhere, right? So why? I mean, this is my thing. Why take him out like that? It just, to me, it doesn't make any sense. Were they scared of something, right? Or were they scared of his words?
They're scared that a common man would know the truth. A lot of the history that we know now was created by the ones who won wars. And they don't want you to know the truth, because then they have control. A lot of that manipulation and control falls back to narcissism, of course. And we have a lot of those in office, and that's the whole problem, is we have a lot of those in office that want to control us and to control everything. So, I mean, if they know the truth, then they have no more control.
Well, that's true. That's a true statement right there. So let's talk a little bit about Enoch and why we think that it was a possibility that he was possibly taken up on a craft, right? So there was a little section in the book of Enoch, 18:15. It says, and I saw the store horses of all the winds, and I saw them with them. He says, he was adorned of all the creations, and I saw the foundations of the earth. It says that I saw the coverstone of the earth, and I saw the four winds which support the earth and the sky. I saw the winds stretched out from the height of the heaven, and how they proportion themselves between the heaven and earth. It says, they are the pillars of heaven. He goes, and I saw the winds turn the sky and cause the disk of the sun, all the stars to set, right? And he says, one more last thing. He says, and I saw the winds of the earth which support clouds, and I saw the path of the angels. I saw the end of the earth and the firmament of heaven above, right? So this is what he's saying that he's seeing now through his book. What are your thoughts on this right now?
I believe that he was taken into a craft, a disc-shaped craft that the gods flew from their planet to here, and he was shown their ways, so that he would know to teach man. And he was taken up there so he could see the earth from above and see the heavens from above, to be able to translate that to the people. That way the people knew all about the creation of man and the heavens and the earth, and what their part and making that happen, so that he could teach everyone. And that's one reason why they don't want you to know all the stuff that's in there, and they keep them out of the Bible and put it into the Dead Sea Scroll, is because they want to hold that from you so that you don't know. That way they can control you through religion also.
Well, so let me ask you this, and this is what I'm thinking, because I always think outside the box. So in the perspective that we're seeing here, let's just say that this happened by this extraterrestrial or godlike thing that manifested itself as a craft or whatever, right? And it was teaching him how to be a holy man, really, in reality, and teaching him how to be a good person. Now, if these things, like when we just talked about Enki, Enlil, and things, and they had slaves and digging the gold for them, that was a totally different way of connecting with the aspect of human beings, right? After they created them, right? So,
yes, sir.
When you think about the Sumerians, and then now you start thinking about the Book of Enoch, it kind of changes, right? To where now they want us to be better people. They want us to be good people, right? So these gods or extraterrestrials, whatever he's dealing with, are actually telling him, hey, man, you need to be this person, because that way you can ascend into the universe, into a better place, or things like that. Now, you don't...
And walk with God.
Right. So you didn't hear too much of that in the first book of the Sumerians, right?
No, sir, you didn't hear a lot of that, because the angels themselves, the Sumerians and Atlantean people, were the Anunnaki, so they considered themselves angels and gods, and they wanted to hold power also, just like God. And so they started teachings and teaching man the creations of forging metals and mining stones and using all this equipment and these materials to create and build, which God didn't want us to know, because we were Neanderthals before we were created into man, and we weren't to know these secrets. And so they were cast out as part of that, along with the creating children with the women of men.
Right.
They defiled themselves with the women of men, and they were considered defiled then, so they were left behind.
They're left behind, and had the giants made the Nephilim, right?
Yes, sir.
And this is how that became that story.
Yes,
and then after
the story
that,
goes of the flood, it would happen to be able to try to wipe them off the face of the earth, so that they could start anew with just man.
So actually, Enoch was the great grandfather of Noah, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He was. He was the grandfather of Noah. That's one reason why I said that Noah knew what he knew about the floods, is because of Enoch and the angels. They come and told him so that he could save humanity, just the humanity, and rid the world of the son of angels and the women of angels, and the giants that consumed everything, including the humans. Wow.
Yeah, and that's, the way you said it there, that makes sense there. Now let's take this in a different angle. Let's look at a different angle. So, as we're talking about this, so we're talking about aliens or God, or we're talking demons here, as far as the extraterrestrial part of the actual stories. Now, of course, in those two books, you don't hear anything about extraterrestrials. These are the things that we're putting together as far as because of the way that things were done back then, how they described what they were going through, the things that they saw, the beams in the sky, of course, what we're seeing here. I think one of the Bible books, he says he actually saw the tripod come down to the legs of the craft, right? And so how do we differentiate this topic as aliens, God, or demons? I mean, how do we do that as a human? Human species?
Just like humans, there's good and bad. With the angels, there's good and bad. They would consider the bad ones demons, the ones that were all about darkness instead of light. And the angels would be, of course, the ones of light to still worship God in His full creation and sense. And that's where we come in, to where they taught us to worship the light and not the darkness. And those who worship the darkness will be condemned to eternal death and fire and damnation and all the things it says in the Bible that it would happen.
In the Bible, yep. Wow. And it's kind of hard because, like I said, a lot of the people that I talk to, as far as the abductees, things that they see in their rooms, and it almost has like a demonic kind of sense, right? So if these things were a different kind of species or a different kind of let's just say I don't want to say a god because they're not, but I would just kind of call them just something that was made, right, to torment us in a way. Do you think that the extraterrestrials are kind of in that realm of that, or they just kind of do it because they just don't give a crap about gods or anything like that?
They would probably rather. Some people believe that we all hold the knowledge within us. It's just being able to release that knowledge, learning to look inside yourself to find it, because where would God hide it but one place you never look, inside you, inside yourself. And once you find that, then you have the knowledge you seek. And those who wish to seek it and use it in the best way are the ones that can ascend, and those who wish to use it for darkness would be considered the evil and the demons, and would try to possess people and cause them to do harm to others and do bad things. Exactly.
Now let's switch it up a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about the how the people put depictions of these unworldly images, especially like in Christianity. Some of them in the Indian books and different books all over the world, where they kind of talk about these extraterrestrials or these things that were in the sky that they saw.
Yes, sir. It's believed in that time there was a great war between the gods, the angels and the gods and the demons. They could have been two different races. They could have been Anunnaki and another race of angels or aliens. And they fought over who would conquer and own, or not even own, but have the slaves to themselves to use as they see fit.
Right. Wow. Well, Nancy Thames, she's going to be on our show next week. She says extraterrestrials believe in a creator source, but not exactly like our version of God. So they have their different version of creation. I have read that. Yes, I have. So she's right on point on that. I can tell you that for a fact because I've not read it in 1, 2. I read it in 3, kind of like declassified kind of books, right? So, And all they did was they kind of put in paintings what they saw in the skies, right? Back then, what all they could do.
Sir. That's it. They know what they saw, and they put it on paper and color to the best of their ability to show us in the future. This is what happened. It's all a history book. It all tells you the things that happened in that time and how to live to get farther in life and to make it through this world to the next, and how to be a good person to be able to do so, to walk with God.
So, and I'm going to go back just to quote on the section we went back. So, what I said is it God, or is it extraterrestrials, or is it or demons, right? So why? Okay, first, when we were growing up, everybody was young back then. All it was good and evil, right? God or the devil, right? Now we have this extra thing in there. Now we have an extra category. These extraterrestrials. Right? Do you believe that they're just like a totally different source of everything that's out there, or what's your thought process on that? Just to pick.
Well, it says that Lucifer at one time was God's right-hand man. He was, he did things for him that other angels wouldn't do. He took care of things for him that other angels wouldn't do. He had knowledge of things that other people didn't have and other angels didn't have. And when he made the pact and came here on Earth with the humans, he started to teach them those things, which was what got him cast out, along with defiling himself with the women of men, the 200 that took the pact together to do so, because he was afraid that he would be the only one cast out for that, and then he would be alone. So they all signed the pact to come to Earth and do that together.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot to think about, really, man.
It's a whole lot to think about.
It's a lot to think about, my personal experience. I just think that they're just, I don't know, man, they're just something different. That they have their own agendas. It's all different. I have read different stories of them, of the extraterrestrials I'm talking about, that they believe in something else, like our God, right? Like what we believe in. What we call God, Buddha, anything like that, So God has different names in all of us, right? In all our different cultures of life. So, and these are the names that we all call them, right? So, I mean, why not be Buddha? Why not be this person? Why not be that? Or, could be God, right? And then to them,
go ahead. I apologize.
No, go ahead.
It says in the book that, we are made in God's image. And some people believe that because we are made in God's image, like it says in the book of Thomas, where Jesus' true teachings, ye are little gods. You are all part of God because you are created in his image and you hold his genetics. But the only thing is, we don't have the power that God has because he is the all. He is the all being, which is supreme. And he holds all the power. So.
Right. Just like it says, the Alpha, the Omega in the beginning of the Genesis. So, she says, to understand what it is, now we are finally involved and realize what it is. This is what Nancy Thames is saying. She would know, man, because she's involved in a lot of this good stuff, man. Thank you, Nancy, for those questions. Well, actually, your input. So let's change it up a little bit. Let's talk about the Pangea map, man. This is we're getting closer to you, man. Where you want to get across to. So tell us a little bit about this map.
It's a map from Pangea, which was before the earthquakes and the pole shifts and before the world tore itself apart and separated all the continents. And if you look at that picture, if you go from the Gibraltar Strait straight across, then you're basically what it shows there, America, which would have been Atlantis at that time. And then when all the cataclysms happened with pole reversals and the volcanic eruptions and the earthquakes and everything that separated all the continents, then it would have pushed it underwater or away from that during the great floods and everything. You wouldn't have seen it. It would have been flooded. And then it would have resurfaced. Then we had the continent we have now called North and South America.
Yeah, I mean, it's when they have it all together like that, you can see where, I mean, maybe it was all one piece like that back then, and then it all kind of just cracked and separated apart. I mean, they know that's what happened, but that took millions of years to do.
Yes, sir.
And this map, they're depicting a lot of the dinosaurs,
Yes. Well, we know that they're found all over the world in all continents, even in the Arctic. I mean, they found pieces of and even frozen animals. So, I mean, we know they were there. They were all over the world. And with Pangea being all together like that, they could have just traveled the whole world at any point in time and been all over.
And I just read today, I forgot which mountain it was. It was on a 10,000 foot mountain peak or whatever, that they actually found a fossil of a fish.
Yes, sir. From the floods, of course. I mean, if it flooded, if the whole continent, the whole world flooded, then of course there would be fish and other fossils all over. I mean, and no matter how high, no matter how low.
And for it to, now you got to think about this, man. For it to fossilize on top of a 10,000 foot mountain, now that means it had to have been there for a long time. In other words, the water level. I'm talking the water level.
Right. So either that, I mean, we don't know that mountain ranges are from tectonic plates pushing together and forcing themselves up. So that creates a mountain range. So at one time, that could have been a lower level, like in the sea somewhere. And then over time, it's all pushed together and forced itself up. And those fossils have become known that high up into the mountains because it's pushed itself up that far.
That makes sense, man. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, it's pretty smart. I like that. Hey, that's why you're the guest on the show, and you know it all, brother.
I don't know it all, brother. I learn every day, just like everybody else. I mean, what I do learn and what I do know, I'm happy to put out there because I want the world to know the truth about everything, all our past, because we deserve it. That's Everyone deserves to know the truth of the past.
That's true. Now, you sent me these pictures of let's see. This it's called Fireget, right? So tell us a little bit about this.
It's a stone that's created by volcanic activity. It's only found in southwestern America and northwestern Mexico. It was created 25 to 36 million years ago by volcanic activity, which Yellowstone is a super volcano. So when it erupted, of course, it flowed north and south, which would have created this stone. It has a lot of properties to it, like obsidian, which you get from regular volcanoes. And it's supposed to help protect you from negativity and evil forces and things of that nature. And the actual ring that you showed there is one that I own, and I'm wearing it at this moment, and it's been handed down to my family until I've got it.
Wow. Let's see it. Put it on camera. Let's see it.
Yes, sir.
Beautiful. Wow. That's a beautiful ring, man.
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. And like you said, it has the properties of a crystal, right? The healing properties and things like that to kind of help you. They use it, I think, what was I reading, that the Vikings or something like that, or used it back then to get the evil spirits away, you know, the evil things, even to make drunk people go away. They would use it for that.
If you look up the properties of it, what it's supposed to do to help you as far as like wearing it or having it on your person, it says it creates a protective bubble around your whole body to protect you from evil, negativity, and to force those things that's sent to you back to the person that sent it.
Wow. Almost like protecting your aura in a sense.
Yes,
right?
Sir. Protecting your aura, protecting from the demons and stuff that wish to try to harm you or inhabit you or anything.
Wow. And we'll just touch back on this real quick. The history of humanity, it was told through the different cultures through the centuries, right? So they talked about it in the Egyptian culture, of course, the Sumerian, and then even in the Aztec culture as well. You know, how everybody has their own way of talking about how things evolved back then, you know, how we evolved. And, you know, what are your thoughts of how all these cultures kind of put their names to humanity?
Well, some people believe that Thoth, when he wrote the Emerald Tablets and stuff, he was Atlantean, of course. It even says that in there. A lot of cultures believe that he was the same God that are in all cultures. The Mayans, the Incans, the Egyptians, he was the same God for all those cultures. He just traveled around the world in a spaceship, or like a flying carpet, as you would say. And he would teach all these different cultures the way of the gods and the angels.
Wow. Yeah, that's where they would probably
he just went by a different name in each place. They called him a different name.
And if you notice, there's, you know, the Mayans, I think they had like over 118 pyramids out there. You know, so did the pyramids out there in Giza too. I mean, they've had so many pyramids, even the ones that are covered up. Now we know that the Aztecs were and the Mayans were through the 13th, 16th century, and then they kind of just got wiped out when the Spaniards came in, right? In a sense. And me personally, I just think it's through disease and through things like that they weren't accustomed to. So, and I believe that because now through infrared, they're starting to look through LiDAR and through all the in South America, where all this is at, you can actually see cities, huge cities, where they said, back then that there was over 60 to 120,000 people in these cities, you know, at the time, you know, selling, doing markets, things like that. So there was life, you know what I mean? And they all went about a daily culture. This is later on after humanity started, right? And they kind of kept it going, you know, they worship the sun gods. I think almost each one of these have worshiped the sun gods, things like that, you know, even the god of the underworld, right? So, you know, even down in the Egyptians, they have that as well. Why do you think that they kind of made gods for everything that they had? In other words, they had a god for a different wheat. They had different gods for this. They had different gods for that, for love. You know, it was always a different god for everything.
Well, because at that time, you know, there was different angels. There was 200 of the angels that came to Earth and taught men. So each angel could have had their own way of living and their own teachings, and they called each one of those different gods because they taught them different things. They worshiped them as gods because of the teachings that they taught them, the ways that they didn't know, things they didn't understand, how to forge the metals, how to show love to each other, how to take herbs and stuff and make healing properties out of it to heal each other with the mind and the body other than just the herbs. All those different things were taught by the angels, which at that time they would have considered gods because they come from heaven. Yeah. And if you look, some people I know that work in the computer industry, they see pictures of the Mayan temples and all the Incan temples and the pyramids. They see a computer grid when they look at that.
It's mathematical.
It's like they set it up. exactly. They set it up as a computer grid to harness the energy of the earth for power.
Yeah, that's true, because I've actually seen the top version of the pyramids of Giza, and it actually looks like a processor.
Right. And if you look at our cities today, you have the roads, and then you have the towering buildings and the shorter buildings. If you look at the inside of a computer and the motherboards and stuff, it looks exactly the same. Right. There's taller ports, there's shorter ports, there's this, there's that. It all looks exactly the same as like a computer motherboard inside.
And you would kind of think of that's our vibe, right? That's our inner vibration, right? Because they have studied that the vibration of different the different frequencies make a pattern, right? Some of them look like a starfish, some of them look like an actual cell, some look like just different parts of animals, So and
it's also claimed that the reason they changed the hertz from 432 to 440 was to disrupt the mind, to keep you at an unconscious state to where you can't focus on the conscious, so that you have the all-knowing.
Right.
That's one of the theories on that. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, I play in a band, and we always keep it at 440, man.
Right. But if you notice, back in the days of Beethoven and Sebastian and Bach, they used 432. They didn't use 440. So they played a natural, even kill tone, which to relax the mind instead of putting it under stress and pressure.
You're right. Wow. Well, that does make a lot of sense. Why some music is more beautiful than others, right? It's just a different frequency. So let's talk about a little bit what you love to talk about, Plato and Atlantis. We get to touch base with that a little bit. Of course, Plato talked about Atlantis, 360 BC, right? And he said there were half God and half human. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, if you would have took the beings from above, the Anunnaki, they would have been gods. And then if they created with the women of men, then they would have said their children were half God, half human. So it kind of explains a little bit of that, because even though they were giants, they were still of the human race. They looked like us. They did the same as us. They acted like us, but they also had godly powers and strength. So They were half human, half God.
And Plato talked about this because of the stories that were passed on through generations, right? That's 600 years or something like that. What was it? 600 or 6,000? One of the two.
Yeah, he learned from his grandfather, is what I was told. And then his grandfather also learned from an Egyptian priest who told him stories of Atlantis and the people of Atlantis. And then you have the Emerald Tablets that teach you and tell you things of the days and the people and the things that happened in that time and what they expect you to do and how to act and all that stuff. So, yeah, definitely.
And I mean, and of course, Atlantis was before the time of this Younger Andreas episode, right? Correct. They were around way before this. So we're talking about way before man. Well, there was man, but I guess we weren't as smart yet, right?
Yeah, so we were more Neanderthal. We had less knowledge and less ability to learn until they admitted their genetics to us to help our brain process those things, kind of like a supercomputer.
Wow. So these guys were pretty intelligent. Do you think they were descendants of the Anunnaki?
Yes, of course, they had to be. We all are, basically. I mean, we all come from the gods. It even says it in the Bible that, we are created in God's image. So, of course.
Well, yeah. So, and that's what I talked about before. Is like, so if they were but they were going to have more of an angelic kind of super. I don't want to say superpower. I just kind of want to say like they were more of angelic beings where they had more control over things, right? Because
they used 100% of their mind to control things and to do things, to where they say we only use a portion of it. If we had the full embodiment of our minds, that we would be able to do things such as have sightseeing into the future, into the past, to be able to heal people with our hands, with our mind, to move objects with our mind without having to actually physically touch it. They would have had that power because they had the full circumference of the 100% of the brain and the mind to be able to do that.
I'm gonna rerun this question again that we talked about last week. Why do you think us people now in our day and age, Why do you think that we put mermaids and Neptune and all that inside of Atlantis? In other words, as those kind of beings.
Well, because in that time they were probably actually here, just like we have animals here now that go extinct because we kill them off or eat them, use them for consumption and food and stuff, or even use their fats for oils and the cooking and their pelts for clothing and all that stuff. They would have used that back then and done the same thing until they were just extinct at that time. And a lot of the mermaids, there's stories of fishermen being out at sea and actually seeing mermaids, and they call some of them sirens because of the songs they sing. And it's got to be true. I mean, there's nothing denying that. There's even paintings of them in caves and in pyramids and other places around. So we know they were there. Exactly.
There's actually a video of this kid, not a kid, but he's a fisherman out, I don't know, Canada or something, and he's out there in the middle of nowhere. They're fishing, him and his. I guess those big, huge boats that get all the king crab, things like that. So you can hear this kind of like a howling woman's voice in the background. They say it sounds like a woman out there, and they hear this sound, and it sounds like it's a woman, kind of like I don't know. It just sounds strange, like it's calling them. And then they're like, man, it sounds like, and he's recording it. So then he says, all right, well, they went back to shore, which took them a day or two, right?
Yes.
Once they got back in the middle of the night, and they're on the dock, and they could still hear that howling sound of that woman's voice out there. And they go, look, you can still hear it. In other words, whatever it was, if it was a mermaid or whatever it was, it followed them all the way for those 2 days to where that. And he didn't only have that one encounter; he had several encounters with this thing. So apparently, it liked him or it followed him. I don't know.
Right.
I mean, do you
I believe it. I mean, there's stories of the mermaids, and they call them sirens, singing songs to mesmerize the men, to make them want to look overboard. And then they pull them into the waters and use them for food, or take them to the depths of the water to kill them off because of what they've done to them in the past. Right.
A little revenge there, huh?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, they don't forget,
No, sir, they don't forget.
So let's talk about your scenario again. So this is the map that you have of the North America and the possibilities of where Atlantis, where you think it is, and your hypothesis. So where do you get this your hypothesis from on this map?
Well, Plato wrote the 51 Clues of Plato, which told the story of Atlantis, and this is one of the maps that was made from that era, from the Paleolithic period. And if you look at the left side of it, it shows Atlantis, and it even says it there, Atlantis. And it looks just like America. The bottom part of it is the Gulf of Mexico. The little point to the right there would be Florida Panhandle. The squiggly lines between there would be the Rio Grande. Then you have the mountain range to the east, the mountain range to the west, and then the towering figure in the middle. The towering figure in the middle would have been Yellowstone before it had actually erupted and fell into the cavity of the earth.
Wow. And I think I told you this before. That tower reminds me of Devil's Tower in Wyoming. It just kind of looks like it. Kind of strange.
It is. But I mean, if you look, there's even buildings in this planet. And if that was Atlantis, that means that they were built before we got here. So some of the buildings that's here now, as far as like our state capitol buildings and some of those others, they could have been made back before then, and we just found them and started using them and just reconstructed them and put them to use. We know there's pyramids all over this country, all over the world. The government won't let you get into most of them. In the Grand Canyon, there's a cave there that has Egyptian artifacts that, anytime you try to go there, they buzz you with helicopters to get away.
Right.
And actually here in Tennessee, there's several places nearby around the Cherokee Nations that has pyramids, and it's closed off to the public, and only the government is allowed in.
Isn't that strange? I mean, it's kind of devious when you kind of think about it. You know what I mean? It's like, we know something you don't know, and we don't think you should know about it.
Right? Exactly.
And why do you think that is? Could it be because the treasures, or could it be because of politics and religion? Maybe.
I'd say it has a little bit to do with all of it. They don't want you to know that you hold power within you to be able to do just as much as they can do as their power. And of course, being a narcissist, they want full control. They want
Right.
full control over everyone and everything. And that way they can hold the wealth of the world. They don't have to share that with you. And as long as they keep you in a state of unknowing, then they can hold that control. And once you learn and you get over that and you get past it and you actually get that knowing, then they no longer have control over you. And that's what they fear.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just so much secrecy. And now these days, everything, of course, is, what they say, the only two things you'll ever know in life is death and taxes, right? That's the only thing you'll know in life. Of course, taxes will always be with you even after you die. So I mean,
there's a death tax. So.
There's a death tax. There is. People don't realize that there is that. But on your conclusions of Atlantis and how much further do you think you'll go to? I'm not going to say how much further. I mean, where you continue to keep on working to push forward to finding out the exact location of Atlantis?
Oh, yes, sir. I'll never stop looking. My whole life, I'll spend looking for it, even if I'm not able to get to certain places in the world to be able to see that and try to learn that. But I'll continue to read as many books as I can and try to learn as much as I can to try to figure that out. Because the people should know. Everybody should know the truth of our history and the path that we should take. And what better way to know than start with something like that that's supposed to be hidden from us? If we can find it and we know the truth, then we can find out what kind of abilities or what kind of actual advancements that we can create to better ourselves in this world. And instead of using like atom bombs to kill people, use it for things that could help us and not destroy the world.
Right. I mean, of course, power, electricity, generators, anything like that, just to kind of keep us going as a flowing society, and we'll all work together, like you said, as human beings. So what we did here today, we talked about the very beginning. The Sumerian, the books, everything. The history of man and how all the possibilities could have been to bring us to this point of Atlantis right now. And we still got a long way to go, yes, but we only have an hour, so and we're coming to the end of it. But I want to thank you for all the information that you gave us here today, because it was very insightful, very educational, and you taught me a lot of things that I didn't know about, and I'm sure you did teach a lot of people out there that they didn't know about as well. And it kind of helps us if we all work together like we're doing right now. If we all work together, we can actually, make this a better place for us to live together without having to argue and fight and kill and all that good stuff, not good stuff, but that's bad stuff, and just so that way we can actually live in harmony, right? And that's the whole key of everything. That's the key of life, man. To live in harmony and live together and know the truths, right? What's out there.
Yes, sir. Definitely.
All right, brother. So where can people find you or find maybe your merchandise, man?
They can find me under Dwayne Belcher on Facebook. They can message me there, and I'll get back with them if they would like some merchandise. I'll ship it to them in any state, anywhere I can find them. Also on TikTok under D Murden, which is my business name. They can find me there. They can follow me, and I'll get back with them if they wish to purchase some of my goods. They can leave me a comment in one of the messages, and I'll get back with them and let them know what to do and how I can go about getting to it.
Right on, man. I will leave links to this show. Of course, I'll go back on YouTube, add all the links on there to your pages, and so that way people can find you and talk to you. And like I said, thank you, Dwayne Belcher, for giving us a lot of this information of the past and now. I would really like for you to come back on the show again. We'll talk about something different. But hey, man, we have some amazing conversations here. I love it. And a lot of people said it was an awesome interview. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. They're saying out there.
Thank you for having me.
You had very interesting information, and they're saying thank you. So, it was my pleasure to bring you on the show. And Dwayne, I'm glad that you were here today. So I want you to be careful out there. I know you're out there working, but we really appreciate you for being on the show today. And more than I can say, man, I'm going to point a lot of people your way. And like I said, we hope to get you back on, and we'll just talk about other things. Okay?
Yes, sir. I'd love to. And thank you very much for having me on the show. I've truly enjoyed it.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, we'll talk to you here shortly. All right.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Have a good one.
You too.
All right, guys. Was that an amazing interview? It was great. I mean, he gave us a lot of insights, a lot of things of his knowledge of, and he's very open-minded, man. You know, and that's how you have to be. Very open-minded, you know, on especially subjects like this, because it can be touchy to other people. So, you know, and we are very open-minded because we don't go political, we don't go religious, we kind of stay right in the center, and we're just trying to teach you and give you all the information that we can from the past and even the present, right? And kind of put it all together, right? Because it's all a big puzzle, and we're trying to put that big piece of the puzzle together. And guess what? When you do that, you make this whole beautiful picture, right? So, and let's just hope one day we find the answers to everything that we're looking for. Thank you guys for watching the show today and being a part of the show and asking your questions. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, everyone, Ryan, everybody for just watching tonight. Cindy, thank you for being on the show, for just chiming in. I appreciate you. She's one of the best out there. And, you know, we will catch you on the next podcast next week. Get ready for that. Don't forget to catch our extras. I'm going to be talking about RH negative and extraterrestrials and why they want you as RH negative. So I will talk about that. And, you know, it's just been my awesome pleasure to have Dwayne on the show today again. I'm glad it worked out very well. And I couldn't ask for anything better. You know, this will be on an audio podcast as well. So be looking out for it tomorrow. It'll be on audio all over. It'll be on iHeartRadio. It'll be on Spotify. It'll be on 26, Podbean, CastBox, iPhones. You can even ask Alexa. She'll play you some Alien Strand podcast. Don't forget about that. Ask Alexa. Now, you know what? Turn up your radio right now. Alexa, play Alien Strand podcast. And she did, right? So we'll go ahead and do that. And I appreciate you guys. I hope you guys watch. Talk to Mr. Dwayne after the show. Hook up with him, and he's going to give you, you know, he's got some massive, beautiful merchandise. It's not given away, but this is his business, what he does. He sells them out there, and it's beautiful stuff. So go check it out. Give him a call, man, and hook up with him, and he will send you pictures, and he'll send you all of the stuff. I'm getting mine. Yeah, next week. So you'll see me wearing his stuff on this show. Right on, because that's what we're about. We share, and we just connect together, and we help each other, and that's what it's about. All right. Until next time, we'll catch you on the next one. So until then, you have yourselves a good day. Have yourselves a good evening, and have yourselves a good night.